Temporary warning. Pregnant women, the elderly, and children under 16 should avoid prolonged exposure to Dirt Diggler. Dirt Diggler may suddenly accelerate to dangerous speeds. Dirt Diggler has high gluten content and is not kosher, halal, or vegan safe. Do not ingest Dirt Diggler, as Dirt Diggler is for external use only. Discontinue listening to Dirt Diggler if any of the following occurs: itching, vertigo, dizziness, discoloration of urine, tingling in extremities, loss of balance or coordination, slurred speech, temporary blindness, profuse sweating, heart palpitations, increased use of profanity. If listening to Dirt Diggler gives you an erection lasting longer than 4 hours, you're welcome. Listening to Dirt Diggler may lead to unplanned pregnancies. If Dirt Diggler begins to smoke, get away immediately. Seek shelter and cover head. Dirt Diggler may stick to certain types of skin. When not in use, Dirt Diggler should be returned to a special container and kept under refrigeration. The ingredients of Dirt Diggler include, but are not limited to, a glowing substance which fell to the earth, presumably from outer space, and bad memories. Do not taunt Dirt Diggler. Dirt Diggler does not come with a lifetime guarantee. Dirt Diggler. Enjoy the show.
Extra heat.
All right, it's Dirt Diggler's Shitty Sports Show.
That's right,
This ain't your
bitch.
daddy's
That's right, bitch.
podcast
That's right,
because
bitch.
we're not your daddy, but there's a good chance we could be your uncle. Just saying. I'm Dirt Diggler, the dirtiest Diggler to ever Diggler, if a dirt could Diggler, and preemptively like to wish everyone a happy new year. Going into the new year, as the last day of a really shitty 2016, and I just wanted to wish everyone preemptively a happy new year before I forgot. And I also want to give a shout out to RTO Beats at the beginning of the show this time around for all the fantastic music that he's provided to the show since we kicked off. Like everything you've heard music-wise has come from RTO Beats. So go seek him out and try to get some music from him. All right, try to get some music from him. So today I'll be solo. Like I said, it's New Year's Eve. Folks got shit to do. So, hey, it is what it is. So folks is out. They got jobs. They got family. And life goes on. The show goes on. I'm going to do a show today. And maybe for the playoffs next week, I'll be able to get everybody. And it's going to be a great time either way. So thanks for listening. So, getting into today's schedule, we're going to just briefly speak about the show. And we're going to go over Week 16 reviews, how the Pigskins control their destiny, the AFC North fallout, how the Browns fucked up the imperfect season, Week 17 predictions, the beer of the week, and the hot take of the week. So, listen, the show is literally always changing, right? There's no standard format. There's nothing set. Everything is subject to change, right? This is a kind of hobby. I'm learning as I go. And I take suggestions. You can give them to me over chat if you're one of those people that have my chat. But if you have suggestions, you can go ahead and send them to dirtdiggler2823@gmail.com. I take suggestions because there are improvements that can always be made.
Are you serious?
All right, just understand, though. I have to be able to pull off what you're asking using the freeware that I'm using because right now, since the show's not making any money, there's very little money put into the show. Just basically shit I already had is what I'm using. I haven't really gone out and gotten a whole lot of new things, especially software-wise. So if I can pull it off with my software, I'll do my best to make it happen, because improvements are what they are. If I was just like, nah, I don't give a fuck what you got to say, I'm good with the show, then it'll never get better. It'll never improve. Maybe y'all have a solution that I haven't thought about. I'm still learning, like I said. Just let me know. Just let me know what you think and what improvements can be made, and we'll do our best to make them happen. So appreciate it. So getting into the Week 16 happenings, right? Week 16 was a relatively busy week for a lot of reasons, right? So first of all, my uneducated predictions had me go 8-7, which is a dramatic drop off from where I was last time. But a lot of teams lost to what I consider to be inferior teams. I mean, there's still teams at this late in the season. I don't know who the hell they are. Like the Titans, I don't know who they are. I don't know if they're a good team or a bad team or some weird. I mean, they beat teams that are technically better and they lose teams that are not as good. But I don't understand those teams. So either way, it was a shitty week for my predictions, but it was an even worse week for leg injuries, and we're gonna get into that, into the leg injuries later on in the show. But first things first, right? So my predictions improve to overall record of 83, 56, and 2. So still, I'm worlds ahead of the talking heads on TV. So like I said, put your money on dirty. So moving on to the actual games, right? The Dolphins beat the Bills and Rex and Rob Ryan got fired. The Bills also fired anyone with the first name Ryan or any kids named Ryan,
but they are
just to be sure that there were no remaining Ryans left behind. It's not often you get to see a 1-2 twin brother firing happen at all ever in sports, let alone happen during the season with a game left. So, all right. So the thing about the firing of Rex Ryan from Buffalo is if y'all remember, he bought this big, obnoxious, like F-250, F-350 truck, and he got the sides done in this super obnoxious fucking Bills livery. I mean, it was stupid, right? But it was something I expect from Orion. So he got this thing, and he had to drive that Bills truck away from the Bills facility for the last time, as he had just been fired from the Bills. So as far as awkwardness, I'm pretty sure that is probably not as immediately awkward as riding the plane on the way home like Gus Bradley did. But it's still super awkward is that now this guy's going to have to go out and spend money to have that shit removed or sell the truck. And I'm assuming he paid cash for it because he's a fucking NFL coach. He should have had the money. So I assume he paid cash. But he's going to have to either sell that truck to some other idiot in Buffalo who's all about the Bills and wants that kind of truck, or paint it all over again. So that seemed foolish at the time, and it seems extra foolish now that he's been fired because we all pretty much knew he was going to get fired out of Buffalo at some point. So well done, Rex, for fucking leading the way in awkwardness. Either way, I don't know, man. They could go anywhere. I mean, honestly, Rex should probably go and coach college at this point. Rob needs to never coach again. Rob was a terrible defensive coordinator. Rob Ryan was the Jeff Fisher of defensive coordinators in our reality. Like, he only had a couple good seasons of defense that he coached, yet somehow he got coined this defensive mastermind, and I'll never understand why. Maybe because his last name was Ryan, and folks confused him for Rex, who was in fact a good defensive coordinator. But look, I know Pop's buddy has got to be cursing in his grave right now at the ineptitude of his two sons and how they're slandering the good Ryan name when it comes to NFL level defenses. But life goes on. You know what I'm saying? They got fired, and good luck wherever you guys end up, whether that be working at the ice cream, the yogurt frog, whatever, yogurt shop down the street, or if you're working in football still. So the Pats totally destroyed the Jets. I mean, it was not okay what they did to the Jets. But that's what I expect elite teams to do to shitty teams. I expect elite teams to play shitty teams, doesn't matter home or away, and I expect them to absolutely stomp the life out of those shitty teams. If you're an elite team and you're barely squeezing by shitty teams, you're not really an elite team. Looking at you, Cowboys. So the Jaguars blew out the Titans somehow and broke the shit out of Marcus Mariota's leg. So that's one broken leg for the week. Keep count. The Vikings lost to the Packers, which seems about right. And this game really, really pissed me off more than any other game has in a long time. The goddamn punk-ass, shit-ass fucking Chargers lost to the fucking Browns on what resulted in a blocked field goal and a missed field goal at the last minute. I swear to God, listen, I didn't really trust the Chargers to put away the Browns anyway. Like, I don't have any faith in the Chargers whatsoever. But the Browns are so inept. I expected the Browns to pull defeat out of the jaws of victory no matter what. But the Chargers seem so much more determined to lose this game than the Browns did. Therefore, the loss goes to the Chargers, who now either have to commit mass suicide or mass resignation because they lost to the Browns. Oh, my God. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, the year 2016, this season, no one should have lost to the Browns. No one should have. I'm not even going to say the Browns earned that win. They didn't earn that win. They didn't outplay the Chargers. The Chargers simply stunk it up worse than the Browns. It's not, there's games where the team wins the game, then there's other games where the team simply fucking loses the game. The Chargers lost that game. The Browns get the win, and I'm sure they feel kind of good about it. But let's be real. That's pretty selfish of those guys, because that was a perfectly good parade getting lined up for those guys, for being 0-16. And now that guy's got to go refund all that money that he was able to raise on GoFundMe. So that's pretty selfish of the Browns to go out there and win a fucking meaningless game against a shit-ass team for the sake of, I guess, getting a win. I don't know. I mean, it's not like all of a sudden folks are going to look at you in a different light in Cleveland. They're not. You still suck. You're still a Brown. You still have RG3 as your quarterback, who incidentally got hurt that game. So I was a week late, but he was concussed from what I understand. So whatever. Look, fuck San Diego or wherever they're going to be. The Chargers are a punk-ass franchise. They need to go away. The Browns are a punk-ass franchise, but we need them for entertainment's sake. So the Pigskins, they beat the Bears because if they don't beat the Bears, the season ends. Right, and if it's one thing that the Pigskins are going to do, they're going to wait to the end of the season before blowing their playoff hopes. That's what I expect from them. So for them to lose in Week 16 and be done, it's not their style. Their style is to lose this week against the Giants when it really counts, because that would put the most pain into everyone who's a Skins fan. So I'll get into my predictions later on, but I'm looking for the Giants to win, just to let you know. So the Falcons beat the Hello Kitty Carolina Panthers. Moving on. The Raiders beat the Colts, and Trent Cole managed to break the leg of a mic'd up Derek Carr. So ESPN and the NFL Network, of course, tries to make us relive that moment where his leg gets snapped and he's laying on the turf and he's mic'd up the whole time. So they're pulling audio, not from the sideline. They're pulling audio from the helmet as this guy's screaming, writhing on the fucking ground. And, of course, they're like, you want to hear what it sounded like when his leg got broken? Fuck no. I don't want to hear that shit. I don't hear no grown-ass man on the ground screaming in pain because his fucking leg is shattered on some bullshit. That's like pretty goddamn morbid. I'm not going to lie. That's pretty goddamn morbid. But sure as shit, nothing's off limits apparently to ESPN and or the NFL Network. So if you want to hear what Derek Carr sounded like and what he was saying as his leg gets destroyed, you can go ahead and tune in to NFLnetwork.com or whatever, and you can pull it up, and it's there. So that makes 2 broken legs for the week. Keep track. The Saints beat the Buccaneers because the Buccaneers are not quite there yet. Listen, so shout out to Vern King, right? This is a good friend of mine. He's a diehard Bucs fan, and I know he listens every once in a while. And I like to fuck with him and shit on his Bucs all the time. But let's be real. Like, the NFC South is the Saints are definitely on a decline. The Panthers, I don't know where they are. The Falcons are good at times, but they don't seem real. The Buccaneers have a very young team that could do some good things, but it just doesn't seem like they're there yet. So I want to give them a shout out, let them know that the future, if they continue on their path, the future is bright in Tampa. All right, the future is bright. They may not have it this year, but over the next 2 years, if they continue their drafting and other things like that, they're going to be dangerous going forward because they're in a weak division, so that benefits them. I mean, it's not AFC South weak, Jesus, no, but it is not the, AFC West, it's not the NFC East. It's not a super strong division. So, I mean, things are looking good. They'll be taking the division either next year or the year after that. They'll definitely make the playoffs. The Cardinals beat the Saints, and Tyler Lockett's leg got broken, but he did hold on to the ball for the touchdown. So you could take some consolation in that he still caught the ball and held on to it despite his leg getting shattered. But, 1, they still lost, and 2, that makes 3 broken legs for the week. 3 broken legs for the week. 1 week, 3 broken legs, all key players. 2 quarterbacks and a freaking receiver. This is a huge blow to Seattle. They've simply lost too much this year. I mean, if all right, Lockett is one thing. Losing Earl Campbell is another. I mean, they're just losing their too many players. Russell Wilson's really, even though he's come back from injury this year, from early in the season, that's all that's left now. That's all that's left on this team is Russell Wilson. So we'll see if Russell Wilson can will this team to a win or 2 in the playoffs. But it's not looking good in Seattle right now. The 49ers won a thriller against the Rams, who are keeping a flame lit for Jeff Fisher and the spirit of losing. And also, Carlos Hyde busted an MCL during the game. So that makes 3 broken legs and 1 blown MCL. 4 major leg injuries to major players in games in Week 16. I don't know. Look. I don't think I've seen this many leg injuries in 1 week ever. Not to key players. This is the most gruesome week I've seen as far as leg injuries. So, blown MCL. These aren't like I got a boo-boo, I sprained my ankle. These are like I'm done for the season because it takes fucking 8 weeks to heal, and then I got a rehab type shit. These guys are done, and their playoff hopes for their teams take a giant blow. Not like the Niners are going to the playoffs. They're not. But the other 3 teams, there was a chance. Especially Oakland. Oakland was favored, to be in the AFC Championship. And while the relief comes in and plays well, Glovin comes in and plays well, he's not Carr. So, I don't know. You This is the nature of the game, though, I guess. It's the nature of the game. It's football. So folks are going to get hurt. Folks are going to get hurt. Legs are going to get broken. Folks will get concussions. Shoulders get blown. Arms get broken. Teeth get knocked out, I guess. Fuckers get pregnant. I don't know. They have their periods. I don't know. Shit happens. Listen, it's fucking football. So the Texans beat the Bengals, who apparently have nothing to play for because they lost to the fucking Texans. And both these teams need to go out and publicly apologize for subjecting their respective fan bases to a goddamn 12-10 game. 12-10 is pretty goddamn boring. Now, I'm sure that there's some fanboys that are going to sit there and go, but it was a defensive match. No, it wasn't. It was not a defensive match. Listen, just because your offenses are both shit doesn't mean their defenses are glorious. Your defenses are not glorious. Your offenses are just shit. You just happen to have two teams that underperformed on offense, one of which has been being helmed by Tom Savage, I guess his name is, in lieu of Bork Osweiler, who's sitting on the bench, all $72 million worth of him, because he sucks. So you have that going on. But the Bengals, I expect some goddamn output of those guys. Like, I don't expect them to win games, but I do expect them to score points. And this is a failure. 10 points from the Bengals is a failure. So of all the teams, the Bengals should be ashamed of themselves for putting up only 10 points. They're not playing the fucking 2000 Ravens or the Broncos from last year. They're playing the fucking Texans. Ugh. And listen, I really wish I had G and D and Kevin on for this one, because the Steelers beat the Ravens in Pittsburgh to take the AFC North title. I'm going to repeat that. The Steelers beat the Ravens in Pittsburgh for the AFC North title on what equated to a miraculous fourth quarter comeback orchestrated by the big three out of Pittsburgh, Roethlisberger, Brown, and Bell. They really did it. I mean, and Antonio Brown's tiny ass ends up catching the ball on like the one, getting stood up, and then stretches hit the ball across the goal line for the touchdown, which basically seals the game. Now, because it's a comeback, that means that Baltimore had to have a lead going into the fourth quarter. But what I'm going to tell you is if you're going to go into the fourth quarter and maintain a lead on Pittsburgh, you need to have 21 points or more built up, because they've shown that they can put up they can put up 3 scores in a single quarter in the fourth. And I don't know why they make it this way. I don't know why the Roethlisberger-led Steelers do this shit over and over again, but this is what they do. And I'm not going to sit here and criticize them. If it fucking works for them, it works for them. Like, they win games. Roethlisberger's got 2 rings hanging off his hand. The dude's proven winner. But these fourth quarter comebacks, man, I don't know if that's the one you want to go for. But, hey, look, as a fan, the shit was entertaining. The shit was entertaining. And knowing folks who had stock in both teams, just wondering how they were reacting as the game progressed, man. I wish I could have been a fly on the wall in D's house and in G's house as this game unfolded, so I can hear all the fucking shit talking and everything else that's going on, man. I actually wish we could have had everyone together to watch a game. That'd have been great. Maybe we can. I don't know. I got folks all over the place, man. It's just a logistic nightmare. But we got to figure that out. We got to do like a live cast or some shit as we watch a game. Like, I'll get on Hangouts and shit and just hear all the shit talking go on. We got to figure that out, man. Y'all let me know what you think about that idea. Let me know what you think for that idea. So the Chiefs beat the fucking shit out of the Broncos.
That don't make sense.
God, you see that game? The Chiefs really put it to them. Like, from the beginning to the end, it was just a thorough, one-way, passionate ass-whooping of a division rival. And it eliminated the Broncos from the playoffs. It did. So the Broncos are done. So you have the Hello Kitty Panthers and the Broncos, both of which played in the Super Bowl last year, neither of which make the playoffs this year, which is the first for me. Now, it may have happened in the past, and I've seen the Super Bowl loser not make it, but the winner normally makes it to the playoffs. Like I said, I'm sure there's a couple of 1s and 2s there where that shit didn't happen, but I mean, this is a pretty big drop-off for Denver. This is a pretty big drop-off. So it's entertaining. So apparently, if you just run really fast, you can beat the Denver defense. Who'd have thought it? Now, what I'm suggesting is that Denver put some Von Miller type money into their offense, because as good as Von Miller is, he's not going to win championships all by himself. So you got to score points to win games. To quote John Madden, the object of the game is to score points. Score points. So they're not scoring points. The defense, and the thing, all right, so the defense had just went and started bitching at the offense for not scoring points, and then the defense goes out and lets the Chiefs put up 33 points on them. So I want to see how that team meeting went. You know what I'm saying? Because Aqib Talib got up there and was like, nah, offensive player, you can't say shit. Y'all fucking suck. Defense is tired of dealing with this. And then the defense goes out and probably gets shit on. So I want I just wonder if there was some glares, to say the least, in the locker room. Some glares. Also, the Lions got waxed by the Cowboys and the refs. Listen, Cowboys fans, you can't in good faith sit there and say that was a fairly called game. I watched Dez Bryant face mask the shit out of a cornerback in the end zone for a touchdown, and then they call the cornerback for the PI. Of course he's going to fucking grope the receiver. He's getting his head turned 180 fucking degrees by goddamn Dez Bryant. So, I mean, then you have Ezekiel Elliott get tackled, and all of a sudden that's a roughing call. Listen, it was a close game until that shit started happening. It was close. It was a close game, and then you started getting these bullshit calls. So I'm calling the fucking fix. That's the fix is in. The fucking Cowboys, they went to Cowboys to do some business in the postseason. I guess Goodell thinks he's going to make him more money to let that punk-ass team win. But that's not a well-called game at all. And, as much as I dislike the team, I'll call a game that was fair or not. That was not a good, that was a very, very poorly officiated game. And I hope that you get the fucking doors taken off of you tomorrow by the Eagles. And then the next time you play, which would be the second round of the playoffs, against whoever the fuck you play. Hope they take the fucking doors off of your team, because you don't deserve to be where the fuck you're at right now. And you certainly didn't deserve to win in week 16. Fuck your team. All right. Moving on. So the Pigskin, they control their destiny going into week 17, which is interesting. I kind of had them written off as not making the playoffs at all this year, but with their win in week 16, they put themselves in position to possibly go to the postseason if they can beat the Giants, who are already in. Now, if this was any other team, like if this was not an NFC East matchup, I would say the Pigskins were going to win this game. But this is the Giants, the same Giants team that just got beaten in Philly by the Eagles, who I'm going to say were the inferior team. I mean, they matched up well. The Eagles have habitually had Eli Manning's number, but come on, 3 picks. This Beckham had 150 receiving yards, no touchdowns. The Giants are going to come out and they're going to put it on the Pigskins. One, because they're pissed and they don't want to go into the playoffs having 2 losses at the end of the season, but 2, to spoil it for a division rival. Let's be real. If they can deny the Pigskins entry to the postseason, that's just a bonus on top of the win, because that's how you get down in your divisions. It's not so much about you succeeding. Everyone else in your division must fail as well. And I expect the Giants to execute on that level. I expect the Giants to go out there. I expect Beckham and Norman to do their stupid chit-chatting slapboxing they're going to do. But I expect the Giants to run the ball well on the Skins. I expect the Skins to try to do some things. Now, if they can get Janoris Jenkins back in the defensive backfield for the Giants, it's going to take away from that Washington passing game quite a bit. But we'll see. Either way, I'm saying that the Pigskins are going to lose this game. I don't think it'll be a blowout. I think they're going to choke, because that would be the most painful way for it to happen, and that's what I'm calling. So the AFC North, the Steelers, they got the division. Baltimore didn't just lose their postseason hopes in that game. They're going to be losing Steve Smith after tomorrow. So tomorrow is most likely 89% sure Steve Smith's going to retire. That's his quote, not mine. He did that corny shit, not me. But Steve Smith has said there's an 89% chance that he hangs it up at the end of tomorrow's game. And I'll tell you right now, look, I've watched Steve Smith play for his entire time in the NFL, and he has been an incredibly entertaining person to watch. In Carolina, he's been good to watch in Baltimore, and the NFL is losing a gamer when he retires. He's without a doubt, he's a Hall of Famer. Right? We're not even going to discuss the merits of Steve Smith going to the Hall of Fame. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a first ballot guy, because he has done for the game. Considering where he come from, and his, he wasn't really drafted. He was a free agent, I think, unsigned free agent. But, he really left his mark in the game. He left his mark in the game. He played the game, passionately. He was a beast. He played aggressively for his stature and his position. He was a bulldog. He was a bulldog that existed when the diva, started to come out. Your Terrell Owens and your Randy Mosses, the throw me the damn ball types that really weren't interested in doing the other football shit. They were just more concerned with their own personal glory. Steve Smith went out there and did the dirty work. Steve Smith was going to block on the edge and maul that cornerback. Steve Smith was going to catch the ball, run over your cornerback, stiff arm your safety. Steve Smith was going to talk shit. Steve Smith was glorious to watch, and the NFL is going to miss Steve Smith. But the Ravens are going to miss him more, because they don't have a replacement for Steve Smith, because you don't replace a Steve Smith. So there's a lot of work to be done for the Ravens, in my opinion, in the offseason. Of course, the Steelers have to make some decisions with Bell, right? Because he's a free agent, so they got to decide if they're going to pay him or not. Now, he wants to remain in Pittsburgh, of course, and I'm sure that every Steelers fan wants Bell to remain because he's the best running back in the NFL right now. I mean, arguably, depending what you're looking for, but as far as all-around back, he's incredibly good. So they're going to want to keep him in Pittsburgh. They don't want him going anywhere else. So you have to ask the question, what happens between these two teams? Do the Ravens do an adequate job of replacing Steve Smith, and do they do a good job in drafting? Well, the Ravens do draft well. The Steelers also draft well. Do the Steelers have the cap space? Do they do enough maneuvering to afford Bell? Does Ben restructure his contract? Does Brown restructure his contract to allow Bell? I remember in the Cowboys' glory days in the 90s, I remember Aikman and Smith, redoing their contracts to let Deion Sanders on the team. I remember these guys doing these things for the sake of winning more championships. So it's just curious to see what they're going to do in Pittsburgh. It's curious to see what they're going to do in Baltimore. Now, the Bengals are fucking frauds. They're disappointing. They need to get a new coach. They need to really change the culture in that building because even for games that they're in, they throw them away with the lack of discipline. So Marvin Lewis needs to go away. He's been there a long time. That doesn't mean that he's good. He needs to go somewhere else if they're going to make any changes. And the Browns have work to do from top to bottom. The biggest thing for the Browns is going to be establishing some sort of stability, getting a competent GM, making sure that Hugh Jackson is the one, and maybe not taking a quarterback in the first round. Now, behind RG3, I forgot his goddamn name, but he's not bad. He's not bad. Cody Kessler. Cody Kessler's not bad, but you're going to have to spend your first 3 or 4 picks on linemen. You know what I'm saying? Spend them on offensive linemen. Get some off. You've got 1,000 picks coming up. Use them on offensive linemen. Use them on defensive linemen. Go out there and get some talent to protect your dude, because I don't care who you stick back there. If they're getting concussions, every third drop back, then it doesn't matter. I mean, it's all for naught. You're not open and running lanes. It's not a good look. But the only way you're going to be able to do any of that stuff in Cleveland is if you have some stability. The Baltimore Ravens have had the same GM forever with Ozzie Newsome. He does well. They need to try to emulate some of those things that are going on in the division. I mean, don't look at them fucking shit-ass Bengals. Look at the Steelers and Ravens. If you're the Browns organization, you need to look at the Steelers and the Ravens to figure out how you want to build your franchise. Now, of course, you're not going to get the same culture that they have in Baltimore and in Pittsburgh because that's part of the institution itself. But as far as the stability in their front office, you got to establish that. You can't be impatient. You got to stick with some folks. Give them a few years and know that you're not working with a lot of talent, but you need to acquire talent before you can really hold a coach to the fire, because if you've got prep school level players and they're playing at the pro level, they're probably not going to do well. I don't give a fuck who they are. So that's the kind of stuff that needs to happen in the AFC North as far as those teams, because it's already set. You know what I'm saying? It's already set. And we'll go over the NFC East, as we go forward with. We can probably go over all the divisions, really. Once again, hit me up on dirtdiggler2823@gmail.com with your suggestions. Like I said, the format's not solid. We're about to go into the playoffs, and after that, we have the postseason. There's nothing at all. Off season. So I need filler. You know what I'm saying? I need filler. So imperfectly imperfect, since we're talking about the Browns. The Chargers appear to be into autoerotic asphyxiation the way they choked away that game. I'm not going to lie. They choked and they climaxed their way into a loss to the Browns. Like I said, on a blocked field goal and a missed one at the last minute. And it wasn't even like a long one. It was like a 30-something yard field goal. This shit is inexcusable. In-fucking-excusable. Now, I don't know if this is some shit where they're trying to make the team easier to move or whatever, but I don't think the city of San Diego is going to hold them back, considering they just offered to lease the stadium to them for $1 a year or whatever if they maintain the stadium themselves. And, of course, which Dean Spanos, oh, my God, I'm so upset. Fuck you, Dean Spanos. But it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. I feel bad for the Cleveland fans for not getting their parade, and I feel bad for the remaining Chargers fans for watching their game. Now you have the distinction of having lost to the Browns, which is by far more shameful than, I don't know. Is losing to the Browns more shameful than being a Brown? I don't know. Is it? I would think so, right? Because you can delude yourself into some self-pride as a Brown, but if you lose to that team, knowing you're not them, does that make you feel worse? Is that more shameful? Let me know. So my uneducated predictions for Week 17. I'm going to get right into them. So the Ravens in Cincy, I got the Ravens putting up 24 to the Cincinnati Bengals 17. Why? Because the Bengals are terrible, and even though this is a divisional game, neither team has anything to gain from this other than shit-talking rights within the division. So with that being said, and considering the egg that the goddamn Bengals laid last week, I see the Bengals losing again because that's what needs to happen, is they need to fucking lose because fuck Cincinnati. The Texans, I see beating the Titans. The loss of Mariota is going to be way too big for the Titans to overcome for this end of the season game. Now, of course, the Titans aren't in the playoffs. The Texans still own the division. They're gonna win the division. They've won the division. But even though the Titans have been playing folks pretty tough all year long, but Mariota has been part of that. Now they may be able to rely on a solid running game to squeeze out a win, but without the threat of an air attack, I don't know if they're just gonna stack the box and just eat the running backs up. So I see the Texans winning 14-10 in Nashville. The Panthers playing the Bucks. I see the Panthers, who have shown signs of life this year, putting up 24, but I see the Bucks putting up 27. Like I said, the Bucks are a young team. I see them winning. I just do. I see it being a close game either way, but I see them winning. I don't think this game doesn't mean much for either team. Maybe the Bucks can still get in if they win. If they win and the Skins lose, maybe the Bucks still get into the playoffs. So the Bucks definitely have something to play for. So I see them winning that game. The Jaguars versus the Colts in Indianapolis. I see the Colts winning 24-17. Basically, I don't know what Jaguars. They're like, the Jaguars are 3 wins. They're still a terrible team. I don't see them beating the Colts. I think the Colts still have too much of. It's weird for me to say, but the Colts have too much talent for the Jaguars right now. The Jaguars are good. Not good, but they have some young talent, but it's just too young and too undeveloped right now. We'll see 2 years from now where they are. The Pats against the Dolphins. I see the Pats smoking the Dolphins in Miami 35-21. The Patriots are going to be getting into postseason form now, and expect them to really start putting folks in the dirt. This is kind of what they do. Not to mention, this is a division rival that's missing his starting quarterback. So expect the Pats to bring it and take it to them. The Bears versus the Vikings. The Bears 17, Vikings 28. The Bears are just too dysfunctional. The Vikings are pretty bad, but I can see the Bradford putting up enough points to beat the Bears handily. The Bills versus the Jets. I see the Bills scoring 34 to the Jets 6. Now, what's interesting in Buffalo is that they're pretty much moving on from Tyrod Taylor as well, and they're starting E.J. Manuel. So I'm not quite sure. I thought Tyrod Taylor was a pretty good quarterback. I mean, he was mobile. He could throw the ball. He did some good things. He wasn't like overly great. He wasn't terrible either. E.J. Manuel proved to be pretty shitty when he was starting. Like, his second year was pretty bad, which is why Tyrod Taylor got the start. So, I mean, it looks like they're doing to the Ryan brothers what the Eagles did to Chip Kelly. They're purging all of his guys. Either way, I still see that the Bills, even though they're not fully functional, they're still more functional than the Jets are, because the Jets are absolutely terrible. All right, so there was a play to which their quarterback got absolutely destroyed, and only 2 of the linemen moved on the offensive line at the snap. Like, the center snapped the ball, and mostly everyone never left their stance, and he got Bryce Petty, absolutely destroyed. And that's kind of been what they're doing at the end of the season. So, not encouraging. Those are things that I would expect a Pop Warner team to do if they were a shitty Pop Warner team, let alone a professional level football team, have more than half the line, not move at the snap of the ball and allow their quarterback to get eviscerated in his first start of the season. I expected better. So with that being said, 35-6 Bills. They're 34-6 Bills, because the Jets are just the worst. All right, so Cowboys versus Eagles, right? The Cowboys plan on, or at least have been roundabout saying, that they're going to give pretty much all 3 quarterbacks some snaps. So with that being said, it's not going to be taken very seriously by the Cowboys. They're trying to make it out of the game injury-free. And, of course, the Eagles are trying to injure as many Cowboys as possible, which is understandable considering that Mr. Glass himself is rumored to be making an appearance tomorrow. So there may be a Tony Romo sighting, which is pretty dirty. Would it be even more dirty is if Jordan Hicks comes off and smokes his collarbone again. Oh, that would be beautiful, right? Not that I dislike Tony Romo. I just hate the fucking Cowboys. And it'll be fucking hilarious because I'm sure they plan on trading him. During this offseason. So it'll be kind of hard to trade an injured quarterback. So it just takes away from their ability to trade him. Hope they get stuck with him for eternity. And they're forced to pay him. Moving on. The Browns versus the Steelers, right? So the euphoria from their first win of the season will fade as they face reality. So the question is, can Landry fucking Jones get him a win? We're going to talk about that. Because they may be starting out, was it Mecklenburger? Zach Mecklenburg, I think, is their backup guy in Pittsburgh. Either way, Steelers 21, Browns 19. Not a blowout. You know what I'm saying? All three of the big three for Pittsburgh are resting. So you're not going to get Bell, Brown, or Roethlisberger in there. And I don't know how that team looks. I've never seen that Pittsburgh team, not in the last few years. So I'm curious to see what it looks like. The Saints versus the Falcons. I have the Saints scoring 35 to the Falcons 45, because neither of these teams has a firm grasp of the concept of defense, which will allow the Saints to put up a huge amount of points. But the Falcons have Julio Jones, so they'll put up even more points somehow. The Giants versus the Pigskins. I have the Giants winning that game by 10, 34 to 24. You heard it here. Like I said, the Skins will choke this one away because that is their style. I mean, what good is it to have the last game on the line if not to lose it to a team that's proven to be more clutch? The Cardinals are going to play the Rams. I see the Cardinals beating the Rams 21 to 17. Both these teams are terrible. The Rams are the more terrible team, but because both are terrible, really the Rams could win this game. I don't know. It's in LA. I don't know what that means yet. I don't think LA is necessarily home field advantage yet, but they are playing in LA, so maybe the Cardinals win, maybe they don't. Either way, it doesn't affect our lives at all because both teams are shitty and they're not making the playoffs. So moving on. The Raiders play the Broncos. I have the Raiders scoring 13 to the Broncos 14. I don't know if McGloin is going to be good enough to put up the points against a team that may be looking to redeem itself a little bit for the sake of its own personal pride, in the Broncos. And they're playing in Denver. So there's a good chance Oakland loses this game. Not that it really hurts their seeding because they're going to go in the number 2 seed anyway of the AFC. So they got a first round bye anyway. But it would definitely be nice for the Raiders to go into the postseason with a win. I'm sure they would love to do that. But, you got to play the game. You got to win. So I see the Broncos just kind of giving them too much. I don't know if McGloin, I don't have enough tape on McGloin to really analyze his ability. But he looked pretty sharp, but I don't think he's going to be sharp enough to beat an angry Broncos team. So the Chiefs versus the Chargers in San Diego. Chiefs 28, Chargers 14 because the Chargers are terrible. And the Chiefs are mostly not terrible. I have the Seahawks and the Niners in San Fran. And the Seahawks have been letting me down a lot this season with them losing to teams that are vastly inferior. So you have the Seahawks scoring 28 and the Niners scoring 21. So Tyler Lockett's hurt. Earl Campbell's hurt. I just don't see enough weapons in San Francisco to capitalize on that. I don't see it. San Francisco's a bad team. They're coached by Chip Kelly. Kaepernick looks like he's coming back to form, though, so they may have a future next year. But they've got a lot of work to do, starting with getting rid of Chip Kelly. If you want to win this, Chip Kelly had an incredibly talented roster in Philly and fucked it up. He inherits a depleted roster in San Francisco, and he's fucking it up. So that's what it is. Now, my game of the week, really, the game is going to be the Packers-Lions, right? So these teams are playing for the playoffs. This is an important game. The thing is, it's hard for me to root against the Packers in this case. Now, had the Lions been able to win last week or, win another game or two and secure the division, I wouldn't be worried. But for the fact of the Packers are more clutch than the Lions have been between the two. Like, the Lions have been incredibly clutch. But Aaron Rodgers himself will will this team to a win. Now, I could be wrong. And actually, I kind of hope I am wrong. All right? I hope I am wrong because we haven't seen the Lions in the postseason in forever, and so we don't know what they're going to do. But I have seen the Aaron Rodgers in the postseason, and if we're trying to knock off Dallas, I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers. So those are my predictions for the week. Now, there's a good chance many of them will be wrong, and I don't care. But you want to gamble on them, just understand that Dirt Diggler, Shitty Sports Show, and Dirt Diggler do not condone gambling of any kind. So Do what you're going to do. Beer of the week. Beer of the week. Samuel Adams Boston Lager. Boston Lager. All right, look. If you need me to review Samuel Adams, then maybe, you should put your pop's beer back. But just for the sake of the show, I'm going to do it, right? So you have Samuel Adams at Boston Lager. Years ago, when I was a young pup, I did not dig this beer at all. And it just did not sit well. Like, I could drink a pitcher of it, and it would still taste like shit on the second pitcher, because that's how I got down. But hold on. Yeah, I mean, it's not the worst thing I've had. It's not bad at all. It's not bad. Is it a game time beer? Yeah. I'd say that you could drink this beer comfortably during the game, right? Because while it does linger longer than your MGD does, it doesn't linger to the point to where it just kind of sits on your tongue and sucks ass. But it is a more fuller bodied beer, but it is something you can comfortably consume while consuming a game. So I will recommend the Boston Lager to those who want to enjoy a sporting event from the privacy of your home or at a sports bar or at the game itself. If they have Boston Lager, go for it. You're not going to regret it too much. It's not a bad beer at all. So moving on to the hot take of the week. So Landry fucking Jones could get started against the Browns, right? Here's my hot take. And I want to hear some fucking hate and discontent for this. Landry Jones throws for 300 fucking yards against the Browns, and in doing so, secures his place on that team for at least another year. That's my hot take of the week. My hot take of the week, that the Browns, in a roundabout way, fucked the Steelers over a little bit by letting Landry fucking Jones, put up 300 plus yards of passing, maybe 2 or 3 touchdowns, which makes him once again look competent when he's not, which allows him to persist on that roster longer than he should. So, So that's my hot take of the week. So as usual, right? I'm on iTunes, I'm on Stitcher, SoundCloud, Mixcloud, and YouTube. Hit me up. Seriously, I shared the shit. I'm on Facebook. Look for Dirt Diggler Shitty Sports Show on Facebook. But note, Facebook did not let me use the word shitty in the title for the page. So instead of the I in shitty, there's a 1 in shitty. So SH1TTY Sports Show. So Dirt Diggler Shitty Sports Show is on Facebook. Follow the group. On the group, you'll get the links to all the different shows that I put out, right? YouTube, the SoundCloud, the Mixcloud. I post all that shit on there. I post it on Twitter as well. Look for Dirt's Diggler on Twitter. I'm all over the place. And sometimes I post it on Instagram, but mostly not on Instagram. But either way, look, find me, right? Find me. And correspond with me. Send me some hate mail. Send me something to dirtdiggler2823@gmail.com. Seriously, I'm dying to hear from you. I want to hear your suggestions. I want to hear your bitches, moan, gripes, complaints. I want to hear your fucking shitty ass takes. I want to hear you suggest a beer to me. Hey, Dirty, I think you would enjoy this beer. And it's Colt 45. You know what? Fuck it. I'll review Colt 45. I'll give myself a 40 Colt 45. Sit down, do the show, and I'll review Colt 45 if you suggest it via email. You can hit me up on the page too. So, holla at your boy. So, as usual, it's been real, it's been fun, and it's been real fun. Dirt Diggler out.